Jim, you're officially the new NKU basketball announcer. You have tremendous experience with the Louisville Bats for quite some time. Got promoted to the Cincinnati Reds and bring a wealth of experience to NKU.
Yeah, I'm really thrilled about it. You know, I've done basketball for years and years, most of it in Louisville, and a lot of women's basketball with Jeff Walls, who's a Northern Kentucky guy, and then did some men's fill-in last year, but really only did a couple of games and was really anxious to get back into basketball. And so when the relationship with Northern and Nelligan Sports came about, and I had a long-standing relationship with Nelligan and John Penny, it all fell into place, and I was very happy about it.
You're going to be working on the men's side exclusively for basketball, but you were a women's announcer at the University of Louisville, made a couple of deep tournament runs with the Cardinals down there. Hopefully some of that Division I tournament magic will rub off on the men in a few years.
Well, I'll tell you this about the tournament, whether it be the men's or the women's, once you get into the NCAA tournament, it's very, very exciting. And then as you move along, get through those first two rounds and get to the Sweet 16, it becomes big time. And then when we were fortunate enough in '09 to go to the Final Four in St. Louis, it was as an exciting event as I've ever been involved in. The semifinal win over Oklahoma, and then the final loss to UConn, even though they lost, to be in the national championship game was unbelievably thrilling.
You've been in the area for a couple of years now, and with NKU moving to Division I, really a truly unique experience for the city of Cincinnati, having so many Division I schools in close proximity, especially if you throw in the likes of Louisville, Kentucky, Ohio State, and Indiana, and just kind of like a basketball hotbed here in the country.
Well, they don't have professional basketball here, but as you say, with Northern now going to Division I, and Xavier and Cincinnati right here, all Division I and at the tops of their respective conferences. And then, as you say, with UK and U of L and Dayton, you don't lack for very high-quality basketball here in this area. And the fact that NKU is switching to D1 only enhances that.
As the Louisville announcer, you got to travel around and see a lot of fantastic facilities around the country, especially in the Big East. A lot of great basketball facilities in that conference. And here at the Bank of Kentucky Center, we'd like to think we got a pretty nice facility ourselves.
Well, I know it's one of the, in fact, I've heard from people who are in the know that this will be the top facility in the Atlantic Sun Conference, and certainly it's you could put it up against many Division I facilities around the country, and this would exceed what they have even in bigger conferences. I was very fortunate to call the very first basketball game ever played here when this facility opened, when Louisville came up and played a doubleheader against Northern Kentucky men's and women's. I did the women's game, and it was, I remember looking around then thinking, wow, this is unbelievable for a Division II school to have a facility like this.
Now the Norse move into the Atlantic Sun. They take the place of Belmont University, who leaves to go to the Ohio Valley Conference. Belmont really created a nice niche for themselves in men's basketball. Traditionally, year in and year out, they found themselves in the tournament, advanced to the Sweet 16 a couple of occasions, and that's really something the Norse can't do for 4 years, but would eventually like to see them do in the near future.
Well, it's just a great opportunity for them to, number one, switch from D2 to D1, and then to get to know the conference really, so when they do finally in that 5th year put themselves in a position to participate in the conference tournament, hopefully in the NCAA or a postseason tournament, they'll have kind of gotten a great feel for the conference and the schools and the facilities that they are playing in. So it won't be new for them in terms of who they're playing. It'll be new in that they can finally advance. So that's a little bit of an upside for them, if there is one, not being able to participate earlier.
The Atlantic Sun offers some nice, pretty decent travel packages, if you will. A lot of schools down there in Florida, and as we get into the December, January, and February months when conference play kicks off, it'll be pretty nice to get on the plane when it's 30 degrees and snowing here in Cincinnati and go into Fort Myers or Jacksonville.
Well, no one's going to complain about going from cold weather to warm weather. That's one of the attractions of baseball spring training. You go from 30 degrees here to 70 degrees out in Phoenix or Florida, depending on where you go. And it'll be the same thing here. Most of the schools, I shouldn't say most, but a good many of the schools are in Florida. There's other schools that are in the Carolinas or in Georgia, where it's certainly going to be warmer in January and February than it is here in Cincinnati. So there's a plus, yeah.
NKU and the Cincinnati Reds have had such a positive relationship, especially the past couple of years. And you've been an announcer, a full-time announcer for the Reds for the past couple of years, a fill-in announcer, excuse me, even before that. What was it like to really run through that 2012 season, kind of seeing the team up front and full-time?
Well, it was a great experience. I mean, to see the team tread water early, you listen to Dusty Baker talk, and sometimes you think, well, maybe he's just saying these things that he's saying. But then when you look at it in retrospect, you think, you know what? I think he really did have a grasp on what was happening in terms of, he said, hey, we just need to tread water, to be a 500 club early in the year. Don't fall so far behind that you waste a lot of effort simply getting back to the 500 mark. Let's tread water until we can really get on a roll. And then if you win 8 of 9, 15 of 18, then you're way above the 500 mark. Then you play a little 500 ball again, and then you go on another run. You get to where you are 15, 20, 25 games over 500 and can sustain a potential injury, which is exactly what the 2012 team did. I was very fortunate to be able to call the clinching game on the radio against the Dodgers on September the 22nd, and then less than a week later, the no-hitter by Homer Bailey in Pittsburgh on September the 28th on TV. So that was personally a couple of big highlights.
Very exciting to have a familiar face on the NKU radio. We look forward to hearing your call this year.
And I look forward to doing it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.